Hello and thank you for joining me. This is the first in a series of practices for specifically targeting the hamstrings and the lower back. It's important to remember, of course, that none of our muscles in our body function alone, right? They all work together. So a lot of times if we have chronic tightness or pain in a specific area, it may be that the other muscles around it are weaker or we're overworking one muscle rather than another. It's always good to have information from a doctor or even personal trainer, someone who is evaluating you and can give you more feedback. And of course, always have permission from a doctor before starting any practice. So again, this practice is going to focus specifically on hamstrings, lower back, and hips because they're right in between the two. And a lot of times if we have low back pain, it can be caused by tight hamstrings, tight hips. Not always. So again, important to have evaluation, to have as much information as you can before you start. That being said, this first practice is going to be completely on our backs. So you want to have your mat and maybe some cushioning underneath. A strap. If you don't own a strap, there are other things you can use, a belt, a beach towel, something that's as long as your legs because we're going to be taking it from the foot to the hands. Another thing that works really great if you happen to have a dog is a dog leash because it's made out of similar material. You don't want a therapy band or a resistance band because they're more rubbery and they have a lot of stretch and we don't want that much give in it. So a belt or a dog leash works perfect. You can actually put your foot through the loop of the leash and use the leash. So just some other possibilities there. The last thing I want to say before we get started is we're going to focus on holding these stretches and breathing, using the breath to release tightness and tension. So it's a really great practice for after you're already warmed up, like after you've done a practice, after you've run, or whatever other type of exercise you're doing, after you bike, or to do in the evening, just after you've been walking around all day. It's a nice way to kind of wind down before sleep. If you're doing this in the morning, I would just say you can certainly do it in the morning, but instead of holding the stretches for a long period of time, maybe come in and out. So when we've been sleeping all night, the body's tight, it's already holding a lot of tension. We don't want to force it into a long hold. Instead, maybe stretch in and out a little bit until you feel like you're ready to hold the stretch a little bit longer. So those things being said, grab your strap, your mat. You won't really need anything else. If you like to have a support of a blanket under your head, you could. As I said, we're really going to be on our backs for the whole practice. I'll have us end in a very short shavasana, but because we only have 15 minutes, you can then decide to turn off the video and lie still for a while, let your body integrate the practice, or go to bed if you're doing it at night, or go about your day. So let's get started. We're going to start lying on our backs. If you want, you could have this little folded blanket under your head. Just make sure that your chin's not way up to the ceiling and putting, a lot of pressure on the neck. So if you have a deep curve in your neck, you might want to have a pillow under the head or folded blanket. Otherwise, I don't actually need it, so I'm going to take it out. And come to lie on your back with your knees bent, your feet are flat on the floor. And just resting your hands at the tops of your thighs. Take a moment to take a deep breath. And feel the breath fill your body, fill your ribs and your chest, and exhale. And just let the back release on the floor. And just notice any stiffness in the back. Take another deep breath into your belly, your ribs and your chest. And you might notice just from that breath that your back tends to arch a little bit. And then as you exhale, soften and just release the spine back down to the floor. Deep breath in. This time, press into your thighs a little bit.
maybe increasing that arch, that natural arch of the spine. So if there were like a little creature, it could sort of crawl through underneath your back here in that little bit of space. And then as you exhale, soften and allow the spine to rest back on the ground. Inhale and press into your thighs. Allow the lower back to arch. And exhale and release. So you may notice you're going to continue on your own or at your own pace, breathing in and pressing into the thighs. The pelvis is actually tilting slightly. And then as you exhale, it comes back to neutral. So it's just a little gentle pelvic rocking to release any tension around the lower back and spine. I have my little timer here, so just so I can keep an eye on the time. Inhale and press into your thighs. And exhale and release. Inhale and press into your thighs. And exhale to release. And then inhale, reach your arms over your head. Let the backs of your hands come down on the floor behind you. And as you exhale, bring those hands down, palms down to your side, and go ahead and straighten your legs up to the ceiling. And then as you inhale, bring your feet back down, knees are bent. Inhale the arms overhead. So we're going to move between those 2 points. Exhale the arms down to the floor and take the legs straight up to the ceiling. Bend your knees. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. The feet come down. And exhale, arms come down and the feet go up to the ceiling. A couple more times. Inhale, arms overhead, feet come down. You could allow the spine to arch here. So it's building on to that movement we just did. Exhale, bring the arms down and the feet go up. And maybe pause here this time. Noticing if there's tightness or tension in the hamstrings, even tension around the knees. And then bending the knees, bring the knees back down, inhale the arms up. This time, go ahead and straighten your left leg down on the floor and exhale and hug the right knee in, half Apanasana. Squeeze that knee into your chest. You can even take it out to the side a little bit. Reach through your left leg, stretching the front of that leg, maybe flexing that foot. And then taking that right hand, grab the outside of your right foot and start to take it up, but keep the knee bent. Allow your elbow to come inside the knee and press down on the outer foot. So we're coming into a half happy baby pose. And reach the left arm over your ear. So the whole left side of the body is straight. The right side is in half happy baby pose. And then release, hug that knee in one more time. Bend your left knee again, bring the left foot to the floor. We're going to take that strap. And you could have it in a loop or not. You don't have to. You could just take the strap itself around the ball of your foot. Or if you have it in a loop, or if you're using a dog leash, like I mentioned, you would put the little loop around the ball of your foot and start to straighten that leg. And you're going to turn your toes, your big toe out slightly and your heel in, just rotating the femur bone in your hip socket. You might even do that a couple of times. Move the hip in the hip socket, especially if you're doing this and you're not totally warmed up. So let that leg get warmed up. And then, again, if you feel like it's too much on the knee, you can bend the knee and straighten a couple times. You can move in and out of this hamstring stretch. But at some point, you want to come to stillness. And notice the stretch in the back of the leg. So for some of you, you want to try to find a straight leg. For all of you, you want to try to find a straight leg. If your knee is really bent as you come in, then allow the leg to come away from you until you find straight leg. Because as long as the knee's bent, we're not totally stretching these hamstrings, and we want to find a stretch here. So allow the heel to come away until you find that straight leg. By the same token, you don't want to hyperextend your knee. So some of you might need to take a little bend in the knee. Just little teeny bend, micro, I should say, micro bends. And then if this may be enough for you, if you want to go deeper, you can straighten the left leg again on the floor. And notice how that changes the stretch. So be really present with the sensation in the leg. We're going to be here for several breaths. Taking a deep breath in as you exhale. You can exhale out through the mouth the first couple of times. Just sigh it out. Deep breath in through your nose. And exhale it out. Keep your awareness in the back of the hamstring and notice. Take another breath. If perhaps as you keep breathing, you keep exhaling, maybe the leg starts to soften, the hamstring starts to release. Maybe you start to find some release. May not be a big release. It takes some time. But if you do these stretches over time, especially if you're a runner or a biker, you'll start to notice a difference. And again, a lot of times we want to just rush through stretches, but the benefit comes from holding, breathing into it, and allowing the muscles to release. I'm also not lifting my hip off the floor. It's grounded down to the floor. And relax your upper body. So if you feel like you're gripping this strap or even lifting up from the ground, relax your head down, relax your shoulders. You're just holding the strap and anchoring the leg. And as I said, you might notice over time that you draw the leg a little closer towards you as it releases. So we'll take one more deep breath here and exhale it out. And then we're going to start to take that leg out to the right. So I didn't mention this in the beginning, but make sure you have a wide space. I have a wall behind me, and so my leg's actually going to rest on that wall. So I could move over to the left a little bit so that it can open more. Or I might actually like to use that wall as a prop and let my leg rest on it. That's another possibility. Now you could have the left knee bent, which is, again, it's going to sort of make it a little bit less of stretch, or you can keep it straight. Now, if you have any SI joint issues, we're talking about the low back too, you may want to bend the left knee into your chest and hold on to it while you're opening that right leg out. Notice the sensation in your glute and your inner thigh. So this pose, hugging the left knee in while the right leg is out, offers you some stability in the lower back. Stay for a couple of breaths. You're welcome to let this leg rest on a wall, on a sofa if you happen to have a piece of furniture in your room. You can also use a block. I'll show you that on the other side. Deep breath in. Use the breath, use the exhale to release and soften and let go. One more deep breath here. Exhale it out. Release that left foot down. Take the right leg back up. We're going to go across the other direction now. So change the hands. You're going to take your left hand to the strap. The right hand can be released. And just start to take that leg slightly across the body. Notice where you feel a stretch in the outer hip and IT band, or where you feel sensation, I should say. So the iliotibial tract. We don't want to overstretch here, but we do want to give it a nice release. So it's not important. You don't have to force your leg to go way across the body. You might even want to back off some and just take it to where you feel this sensation. And you may feel it from the outer knee all the way up to your hip. Again, you can straighten the left leg. So some people take this stretch all the way across and allow the hip to come up. If you feel that you need that, you certainly can try that. But really, you're going to get the benefit from the stretch just by taking it over until you feel a sensation here. The more you come across, you're going to feel it deeper into the glute rather than into the IT band. Use the breath. Use the exhale. Releasing, letting go. And then as you're ready, inhale that leg back up. Pause as you exhale. And then start to release the strap. Big breath in. Exhale, hug that knee in one more time. Give that leg a break. We're going to do all of those things on the other side. So let's just hug this right knee into the chest. And release it down. So we'll start, actually let's go ahead and hug the left knee in first and straighten the right leg. Reach the right leg away. Give it a good squeeze. We're going to do the happy baby first, the half happy baby. So taking your left hand to the outside of your foot, start to lift the foot up to the ceiling. You're going to gently bring the elbow inside the knee. Keep the knee bent. Knee comes out to the side, half happy baby. And then reach the right arm over your head. Stretch the whole right side while you're pressing down on that left foot. It's a little inner groin stretch before we start. And then release. You can hug the knee back to the center. We're going to find the strap wherever you placed it and take it around the left foot. And again, if you have it in a nice little loop, you can take it that way. If you don't worry about it. It takes time to do that, so you might just take the strap itself around the ball of the foot. And you really want to be on the ball of the foot and not the arch. You'll notice the more you get towards the ball of the foot, you don't want to slip off, so you want it to be stable. But you'll get into also the back of the calf muscle a little bit. And then just slightly turning the big toe out, the heel in, so you're getting this stretch on the whole inner side, the leg, the femur bone. Just rotate slightly in the hip socket. Pausing here to breathe. Again, all the same things apply. So as you're drawing the foot in towards you, if you're feeling strain in the knee, you could be hyperextending. So you might need to take a micro bend for those who are hyper mobile. Most of us, if we're tight in the hamstrings, we probably are not hypermobile, but just important to pay attention to your body and notice what you're feeling. So no locking out of the knee. If you need to keep a micro bend, you can. But notice if the knee is bent because the hamstring is tight, then you're going to let the leg come away from you. Breathing in as you exhale, release any tension from the upper body. We're just working the lower body, so don't grip, no gripping. Try to ease into it, relax into it. Bringing awareness to the hamstring as you exhale. Can you find some release? As we take several breaths here, You can even focus on lengthening the exhale by pursing your lips and gently blowing the air out. Keeping that hip grounded down on the floor. Make sure you're not lifting the hip off the floor. And we'll take one more breath before we switch hands. Or no, I'm sorry, we're going to open to the left first. So start to open the left leg out to the left. Now, I don't have a wall on this side, so you can just hold it with the strap. Or if you have a block or something like that, you could bring it in towards the thigh and or towards the hip. And the closer you are towards the hip, the more it's going to hold your leg up. So if you're really flexible and you can take it way out there, that's fine. But most of us are probably going to be somewhere more like in between. You can even sort of turn the block in to hold the leg up if you like. So it's not required. You can just hold the leg in midair. But go ahead and bend your right knee in and hold that leg in to your chest, that knee into your chest. So notice when I've got this knee bent, now I'm keeping the hips more symmetrical, and so you're not causing discomfort in the SI joint. Deep breath in, sigh it out, or blow the air out. No forcing. And if you have pillows or a bolster at home, that's another thing you could place underneath the leg to hold it up. Or I could have shifted direction and used the wall again as a prop, of course. Different ways to do it, so find the one that works best for you. Take one more deep breath here. Exhaling it out. Release the right foot back to the floor and take that left leg straight on up. So pause here in neutral. We're going to switch hands, taking the strap into the right hand. And we'll just start to take the leg across. It can be helpful to take your left hand and actually press into the top of the thigh so you don't hike the hip up. Start to take it across the body just until you feel a stretch. And you might re-straighten the right leg down on the floor. Notice where you feel that. Any sensation from the hip to the knee, even all the way down the tibialis into the foot. And breathe. Exhale, release a little bit more. Breathe. And as you're ready, inhale all the way back up, bend your knee in, release your strap. Let's hug both knees in. Nice symmetrical position, rock a little bit side to side. Release the feet back down to the floor. We're going to straighten the left leg. Hug your right knee in. Step your right foot across your left thigh. And then taking a hold of the outside of that knee with your left hand, start to draw it across your chest. So if you need to lift up to grab it, that's fine. And then draw it across the chest. We're getting into a little hip stretch here. Reach the right arm out to the side and breathe. Releasing the right hip. Oh, I just got a nice release on that last breath. So sometimes you'll notice you just keep breathing, you're holding tension, and then there's just that release. But it does take a few minutes. Some say 60 seconds, 90 seconds. In yin yoga, we tend to hold for at least 3 minutes. I know we haven't held quite that long in this series because I want to get through a couple of postures that link together are really nice poses. So let's go ahead and hug that right knee in one more time. Release it down to the floor. We'll hug the left knee in. We're going to do the same thing on this side just to give a little release to that hip. Step the left foot across on the floor. So cross the right thigh on the floor. Take your right hand to the outside of that knee and start to draw it across the body. It's not going to go that far. But notice the sensation in your left hip now. You can reach the left arm out to the left, keeping the shoulder down. So you're sort of resisting the stretch. You can kind of try to keep that left hip down as you're drawing the knee across. And of course, it's fine for it to lift up, but just resist a little bit and you'll feel the stretch more intensely. And breathe. One more deep breath in. And exhale it out. Come to hug both knees in one more time. Rock a little bit side to side. Bring those feet back down to the floor. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, arms come down, feet go up. Inhale, arms overhead, feet come down. Exhale, both feet up. And inhale, feet down, arms overhead. Exhale, arms come down and go ahead and straighten one leg and then the other. Coming to your Shavasana. If this is not comfortable in your lower back, you could place a rolled blanket underneath your knees, like so, and allow your legs to rest that way. And you might have another blanket or pillow under your head. But just coming to a nice final symmetrical posture. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. And notice how you feel. So you could pause your video and stay here for as long as you like. When you're ready to come up, you're gently going to roll to one side and walk yourself back up. You could come to a seat or to stand, but always take a moment to pause, check in. Notice if anything has shifted or changed. And I promise you, over time, if you continue to use this practice or one of the other practices that we're going to be doing, you'll get some relief or some release in the hamstrings and lower back and the hips. And if you don't, then definitely you want to talk to a doctor or physical therapist. So thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. Namaste. Be well.